Hello again, friends. I am back. Excited to have a bunch more of you who have subscribed and joined me on this journey. So, thank you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about getting started with meditation. So, this one was kind of interesting to think about because it's been quite a few years since I first started meditating. So, I kind of tried to think back to what frame of mind was I in when I really started. And the thing I realized was that I was kind of in a place of a lot of stress. I was feeling pretty overwhelmed, and someone had mentioned it. I can't even remember who or when, but they suggested I give it a try, and I found an app called Headspace, which was my introduction to this. So I think that's probably the simplest answer here is that it's really easy to get started with meditation today thanks to a lot of great apps that exist. So Headspace is one, another is called Waking Up. Both of them are linked here. So you could just sort of stop the video now, go and install those and get started. And I say that because there really isn't a ton that you need to do in order to prepare and set up the right environment. I think a lot of folks assume you have to have a lot of key conditions. So, for example, you do not need a special cushion and you do not need to sit on the floor cross-legged. You certainly can, and there are some benefits to doing that, but you could do it right now. You could pause the video like I mentioned and just sit back, relax, and I think at the end of this video, maybe we'll give it a try. But before we do, I wanted to just mention a few other things. It's really important, if you're going to start trying to build a meditation habit, to have a strong foundation of why you're doing it. Now, in a previous video, which I link in the description, I talk about why I meditate and some reasons why you might consider it. And you might have your own reasons. They might be different. So I highly recommend thinking about those and making sure that you can keep them in mind, because you don't want to just meditate a few times. You want to keep up the habit in the long term. That's when the real gains start to come. So you're going to need to make sure you've really internalized, okay, why am I doing this? So you can remind yourself as you go along. Now, a couple other things I'll note. It can be helpful, especially when you're getting started, to link meditation to a journaling practice. So what you might do in a really simple version of this is every time you meditate, spend 1 minute afterwards just sort of journaling. Hey, how did it feel this time? What were some of the things I thought about? What was surprising? And this will help you kind of learn, okay, I struggled with this, I struggled with that this time. And it can help you kind of improve. And when I say improve, I mean making it more valuable for you, making it feel like it's really worth it and that there is some joy that you can get out of it. I will also mention, one of the things to keep in mind is that you're not really going to see results right away. It's not going to be the case that you start meditating and bam, you are a transformed person and, there's a light coming out of you, So you have to keep that in mind. You have to, realize that there's sort of long-term benefits. And of course, there are going to be some short-term benefits. I think once you spend enough sessions, and that number is going to vary, but probably more than 10 sessions at least, you'll start to see, okay, this thing I was doing during meditating, it actually showed up in my daily life. I actually had a moment where I kind of saw myself and was sort of observing my own thoughts. And once you start to have those events start to occur more frequently, then you start to see like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see some of these benefits. And the flip side of that, when you stop, if you started meditating, you built a habit and then you just dropped it, we all get busy, things come up, and you notice, you're like, wow, actually there is a difference between when I was meditating and now when I've dropped the habit, which is actually a great thing because it can help remotivate you to kind of get back on there. So with that said, I think that I just want to emphasize you don't have to worry too much about technique. You don't have to, do it perfectly. So a really simple way to get started would be, you could do it on your chair. Make sure you're in a relaxed position, kind of feet on the ground. You can put your hands on your thighs or on the side. Close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths. And you can start to sort of slow down, and go back to sort of normal breathing. Let the breaths come in and out, and just sort of be. And what you'll notice immediately is some thoughts are going to come. And that's okay. Just acknowledge them and think of them as clouds. They're going to come in, they're there, they're going to float away by themselves. Don't try and get rid of them. Don't overly focus on them. Just acknowledge them and let them be there. And when you do get distracted by these thoughts, I would say make sure you don't, get annoyed with yourself. This can happen a lot when we're meditating. Is we're trying to meditate, we're trying to, be relaxed, and some thoughts keep coming up, and we get lost in distraction. And maybe the 10 minutes go by, and you were just lost in thought, and you feel bad. Now the thing is, if you beat yourself up every time you do that, there is sort of a reinforcement, and it's going to work against you. So what your brain has done is it just caught you. You just caught yourself in this distraction. And in that moment, you kind of have a negative feeling. So you're going to associate actually catching yourself from distraction with a negative feeling. And, you don't really want to do that at the subconscious level. You want to kind of say, oh, okay, just noticed I was distracted. I'm going to begin again. And just keep going. There's no wrong, there's no right, there's just observe. There's no right meditation, there's no right thought. There's just being present. And so give it a chance to, let yourself really just settle in. Meditation isn't relaxation. It's not meant to be like lying on a beach, feeling great. It is work, at some level. You are sort of trying to observe your thoughts and not react, and develop new skills and push yourself forward. So you should feel proud anytime you do it. You should feel, gratitude to yourself for giving yourself that time. As they say, the only bad meditation session is the one you don't do. So I hope this gives you a little bit of a push. And like I mentioned, there's a couple apps that can help you get started. They provide guided meditations, which I recommend. They can kind of walk you through the process and different techniques and things like that. And you can just follow along and try and build a habit whenever you can, whenever you get time. And if you have specific questions, let me know. I will be doing a follow-up video to this with techniques of how I meditate. After you've been meditating a while, you might want to try different techniques that sort of help you. And I'd love to share some of those. So thanks again for watching, and look out for the next video. And I hope you're able to take some time for yourself.